Hello, my dear viewers. This is Olga Demchuk, and this is the world of animals and people. Why do you think these three creatures are here with me today? A dragon, a cat, and someone. Maybe you already have some ideas about what they symbolize? Write them down. Today's topic is protecting boundaries without aggression. Admit it, that's quite a challenge. We all know how to defend boundaries aggressively. I mean, it's simple. Strike. But how do you defend boundaries without aggression? We have to defend our boundaries all the time. Why all the time? Because inside each of us lives a beast, one that wants to climb onto our heads and set its own rules. And it lives not only in us, but also in the people around us. So unconsciously, we're always competing, always wanting to come out on top and establish our own rules and our own sense of power. But at the same time, there's a part of us that's genuinely afraid of conflict. And that's perfectly logical and understandable, because being confrontational or aggressive is something that society doesn't encourage. These qualities are only valued in extreme conditions. Otherwise, we risk being alone, being socially isolated, and our worst fear comes true, being like the homeless with no job, no money, and no home. And boundaries must be defended, because if you don't stand up to defend them, someone else will, over time, gradually push them back. But aggression, it destroys our social ties and robs us of opportunities. When we want to defend our boundaries fiercely, like a beast, aggressively, as you've guessed, the dragon will symbolize protection. Aggressive boundary defense, we don't just risk losing social ties and relationships, we might also get hit back. When we start aggressively venting at someone, especially a loved one, they also have plenty to say back to us. Or you might encounter behind a seemingly angelic face a very harsh and hysterical pushback from the other person. And so we'll have shown aggression, yet we won't have won the battle. Also, defending yourself with aggression is fraught with feelings of guilt. Later, we endlessly replay all those conflicts in our heads where we acted like an aggressive beast. We're constantly trying to prove to ourselves that our aggression was justified in that situation. In other words, we can't just admit we let the beast out to protect ourselves. We feel we must make the other person seem bad enough so that I have every right to be bad as well. And so we endlessly replay these dialogues in our heads in which we demonize the other person enough to give ourselves internal permission to be aggressive toward them. They either have to push us to the limit, be a bad person in general, or just be bad enough in that moment. And then we feel our behavior is completely justified. And as you can see, I'm not saying that aggressiveness is a bad thing. And sometimes it's absolutely necessary. But is there a third option? So today we're going to look at a simple real-life example, but I'd like you not to take it literally, but rather to grasp the underlying essence. And if you have a real-life example of your own, where you faced a moment when it was time to defend your boundaries, but you either failed or reacted aggressively, then it's better to keep your own example in mind rather than mine. It will be more relatable and clearer for you that way. So here's the example. Imagine my husband says to me, "You're always locking the door with the wrong lock. We have two locks and the bottom one is more complex." And he says, "When we use the more complex one, the apartment is better protected." Now, imagine we both met up somewhere in the city after work and are heading back home. And at that moment, my husband, who might be tired and hungry after a long day at work, notices that I've locked the door with the wrong lock and says, "You're always locking the door with the wrong lock." And in a moment like that, you could just ignore it, meaning you don't say anything back. But it's very important here to pay attention to what's happening inside of me. And we are undoubtedly aggressive, meaning we have less ability to restrain our inner beast. When we are hungry, when we are tired, then this veneer of humanity fades away, and the beast will always manifest more vividly. And in such a situation, it depends on a multitude of accompanying circumstances. That is, we are not writing an instruction manual right now. I am trying to lay out the essence for you. If I am aggressive, right here, you see, we have cards lying. And these cards belong to the winner beast. That is how I defend boundaries if I claim the role of the winner beast. This will be our loser beast, and this will be humanity. So the winner beast immediately begins to attack in response. That is a person who scolds, for example, like my husband for me closing the door with the wrong lock. He takes the high ground and suggests I be lower as he is the better one, and I am the worst one in this moment. I attack back. You also forgot to put the soup in the fridge yesterday. So he attacks me from above, and I attack him climbing up myself and saying, you are also bad. And such a response can perfectly well lead to a conflict. That is, when I perceive his words not as some state of his, but as an attack on myself. And I try to defeat him in this attack. It's not far from a fight that way. The second option, the husband talks about the door. I reply, stop telling me what to do. See, he attacks me and I attack him in return. He sort of unconsciously says, I'm the boss. I say what to do. And I say, you won't tell me what to do. You're not an authority. That is, in the first case, and the second, I compensate for my lower state by lifting myself up with words. Guaranteed conflict. The third option, the phrase about the door. I'll lock it with whichever lock I want. So here I also show him that he is not the boss, that he has no authority over me. You see, all of these answers, much like the husband's particular phrasing, are really a clash between two strong beasts. And each one of them insists on being the boss, while the other is given a lower place, that of the inferior. So, I have energy and I'm the winning beast. The winning beast attacks back and ends up on top. Now the black kitty is the loser. The loser. What are the consequences of responding as the losing beast? The fact is that you'll often, without even realizing it, unconsciously provoke the other person's unconscious to attack you. We, as humans, we like to attack, we like to bite. At that moment, we feel our power, and a person can do this absolutely unconsciously. They don't understand what they're doing. And if I'm the kitty, the losing beast, then I, for example, will say to my husband, sorry, I forgot, I'll do better. So such a response can exist in nature, and it'll even be very appropriate, especially if you're dealing with some enraged stranger. That is, he shows his power and you give it to him. But with loved ones, such a response, or in communication in general, such a response will provoke the other's winning beast to bite you again. The second option, please don't shout at me. You see, the tone is also very important here. Please don't shout at me. And effectively, this phrase means, I admit that you're the scary main beast. I'm a small losing beast. Please don't eat me, big bad wolf. This is also me asking for provocations of aggression. And the third option for the losing beast is offended silence. So if loved ones nibble at us and we remain silent or respond like a losing beast, then you have to understand that the other person will keep snatching away boundaries, their space, more and more. So you see, if I act like someone who always wins, you know, like a real beast, I provoke a conflict, a frontal attack. If I act like a losing beast, I provoke a repeated attack on me. But how do I defend my boundaries non-aggressively? This is the most important point. And first of all, before we analyze this together, we need to adopt this non-aggressiveness inside. But many people ask me, how do I find it? Try to find the winning beast and the losing beast and be neither one nor the other. So here are some possible responses. Don't take this as an algorithm. It's by no means a set of instructions. It's just one option to help you find that specific emotional space of humanity. A person, a husband says, "You locked the door with the wrong lock again." And I reply, "No, you locked the door with the wrong lock again." And I reply, "That was said aggressively." You see, there's no attack on the person specifically here. It's just pointing out the tone. No, the tone was aggressive. Undoubtedly, the other person might get even more furious at this. And that's why I say it's very important where you stand internally. It's not the words that matter, but the intent. But you draw the other's attention to the fact they were aggressive, but at the same time, you don't attack back or grovel before them. Another option. I'm more used to locking the door with this lock, the one I used. And then a discussion might follow where the husband gives his counter-arguments about how this lock protects the door better, and I'll give mine. For example, let's look at the statistics. We have a concierge, a gate, and so many cameras installed. How many apartments have been robbed, say, in the last 3 years? And if they're professional burglars, they'll be able to pick either lock. So it becomes a discussion, but it's important here to set your boundaries, to show the other person they've already crossed them. Or a third option, which I use most often in daily life, is when I joke around a bit. For instance, my husband says, "You locked the door with the wrong lock again." And I say to him, "You're nibbling at Dolja." So you see, it's like, well, showing that you're biting me, you're nibbling me. And usually such a friendly, humorous attitude makes the other person smile too, and the conflict is resolved. But here, first and foremost, you need to find your humanity. I suggest you practice and find more humane responses to this situation. This whole video, everything I've told you, is just a slice of the pie called the School of Communication. At the School of Communication, we'll analyze such situations and learn to be human, but also strong, protecting our boundaries. For many, the word humanity is about weakness, about stupidity, about giving in, about self-sacrifice. No, I'm not suggesting you act that way. Humanity is smart and it allows you to achieve much more with much less effort. We'll talk about all of this at the School of Humanity. It starts in the middle of August. There's a link under the video or on the website olgademchuk.org. So jot down your options bin and come to the school. I'll be glad, truly glad to see you. See you soon.